Our sun, it's not just a big ball of fire. It's this massive magnetic engine. And believe it or not, it's been hiding a pretty big secret. Scientists are just now starting to piece it all together, all because of this one weird event that for a long time nobody could figure out. So let's dive into this solar mystery. So picture this. It's 2014 and something weird happens. The sun's magnetic field, which is basically the main shield protecting our entire solar system from nasty cosmic radiation, it just powers up out of nowhere. I mean, you can see it right here in the data, this huge spike. For years, this was just a blip, an unexplained puzzle. Yeah, this thing was way too big, way too sudden to just ignore. So scientists had to ask the big question. What in the world was going on with our star?
And look, this wasn't just some question for a science journal. We're talking about a genuine solar mystery. And it had some pretty big implications for all of us.
Because that magnetic field, it reaches way out past the sun. It actually creates this protective bubble around the whole solar system called the heliosphere. It's what keeps us safe. So when that shield suddenly gets a massive power boost, well, that's not just interesting. That's a fundamental shift in our cosmic backyard. And we really, really needed to know why. Okay, so to crack this case, we first have to get a handle on the tools of the trade. The concepts scientists use to figure out the sun's crazy magnetic personality. Let's open up the toolkit.
All right, first thing you need to know about active regions. Pretty much all the sun's big magnetic action starts here. The easiest way to think about them? They're like giant magnetic storms. It's where all that magnetism from deep inside the sun just bursts right out onto the surface.
Okay, so the sun's magnetic field, it's kind of got two personalities. You've got the axial component. That's the stable, predictable one. It sets the north and south poles, changes super slowly, pretty straightforward. But then you have the equatorial component, and that is the wild card. It's totally unpredictable, its strength can just go haywire, and it all depends on where those active regions decide to show up. And for the mystery we're trying to solve, this is the one we've got to watch. So with all this chaos, how on earth do you even measure it? Well, scientists came up with a really clever tool called the vector sum method. What it does is it takes all the different magnetic pushes and pulls from every single storm all over the sun and adds them all up into one single number. It gave them, for the first time ever, a complete picture of the sun's total magnetic power and which way it was pointing. Okay, so now they had the tool. Researchers could finally rewind the tape and really put that 2014 event under the microscope. It was time to, simulate a star.
They used this super sophisticated simulation called a surface flux transport model. The best way to think of it is like having a digital twin of the sun on a computer. It let them hit rewind and just replay everything that happened from 2010 to 2019, watching every little detail of how that magnetic field changed day by day.
And this is where it gets really cool. Since it was all a simulation, they could do stuff you could never do with the actual sun. I mean, they could track every single magnetic storm, pull it out, and see exactly what its individual contribution was. They could see if it was adding to the total field or taking away from it. The hunt for the culprits was officially on. And what they found? Yeah, nobody saw this coming. The answer to the mystery wasn't just about how strong the storms were. It was about where they were coming from. Turns out, the sun has magnetic hotspots. The simulation pointed right to them. It was a whole gang of really powerful active regions that were driving this search. But the crucial thing was they weren't just popping up randomly all over the place. No, they were all popping up together, one after the other, in the exact same cosmic neighborhood in the sun's southern hemisphere. And that clustering, that was the key to the whole thing. So you're probably asking, why does their location matter so much? Well, let me give you an analogy. Think of each of those active regions as a little magnet. If you just throw a bunch of magnets on a table, they're all pointing in different directions, right? Their fields kind of cancel each other out. But what if you line them all up, North Pole to South Pole in a perfect row? Suddenly, their fields combine, and you've got one big, powerful superfield. And that is exactly what was happening on the sun. The researchers themselves said it best. It was that repeated, recurring eruption of magnetic energy in that one spot that was responsible for the huge power-up in 2014. The key word here? It was coordinated. But, this just opens up an even bigger can of worms. Was this amazing alignment just a total fluke? A 1 in a billion shot? Or was it a clue that something much deeper is going on inside our star? See, in science, a hunch isn't good enough. They needed proof. They had to actually run the numbers and answer that one critical question. Was this just a wild cosmic coincidence, or was it a real pattern? So what did they do? They ran another simulation, a massive one. This time, they made 10,000 digital suns. But on these suns, they let the active regions pop up completely randomly. This gave them a baseline for what normal should look like. And just look at this graph. That blue shaded zone, that's the behavior of all those 10,000 random suns. And that orange line, that's our sun. It's not just a little different, it is a massive outlier. Which brings us to one, frankly astonishing number, 42. What does that mean? It means for 42 consecutive rotations of the sun, we're talking more than 3 years straight, our sun's magnetic field was stronger than the average of all those thousands of random simulations. This wasn't just a brief spike. It was a sustained, systematic pattern. This chart just drives the point home. It shows you just how unbelievably unlikely this was. Out of 10,000 random suns, our sun's behavior was more persistent and stronger than 97.3% of them. The chances of that happening randomly? Astronomically small. So the conclusion here is pretty clear, right? The sun isn't just spitting out magnetic storms at random. It has preferred spots, these hot spots, where activity likes to cluster. And when those hot spots get going, they can literally change the magnetic weather for the entire solar system. So we figured out the 2014 mystery. But in the process, we stumbled onto something way deeper. The sun is way more organized, more patterned than we ever thought. And that leaves us with one final huge question. What other patterns are hiding on our star? And what are they going to tell us about the future?